It's recording.
Hello, grade 5-6 students. Thank you for being here today. Today we're going to be focusing on elementary school science. And what I'll be doing is I'll be looking to see what ideas that you give me in your answers to the question, how do we smell odors from a distance? So first, I would like to ask if anyone has ever smelled an odor before, such as maybe your mom cooking with garlic in the kitchen or making peppermint tea. Does anybody have an experience where they smelled an odor from a distance?
Yeah.
What's your experience?
I like when my mom makes spaghetti.
You like that? And you like it because it tastes good, but what I'm asking is about an odor. So when you say spaghetti, does that mean that you actually smell when she's cooking the spaghetti?
Yeah, actually we can smell it right when we get off the bus because the fan throws the smell outside.
That's interesting. That's an interesting observation. Anybody else have an experience that they'd like to share where they smelled the odor from a distance? I know you had to smell something from a distance. You could even talk about something that was yucky, like maybe when the garbage truck passed your house on garbage pickup day.
My dad's house always smells funny.
Your dad's house smells funny. So I've never heard of a funny smell that makes you laugh, but I'm assuming that it's because you smell it from a distance and you don't understand or know where the odor is coming from. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have any experience smelling an odor from a distance?
No.
No experience at all?
Yeah. Smoke.
Smoke? That's a good one. Cigarette smoke or fire smoke?
Both.
Both? Yeah, I've experienced that too. And that's good that we shared those experiences that we had. Now I have a question. How do you think that the odor that we smell in our past experiences travels from one place to our nose? As we mentioned, as we all said, that we know that it came from a distance, so we identified, yes, the odor did come from someplace else, not directly under our nose, but how do you think that the odor comes from that place and gets to our noses?
Wind.
The wind? Okay, that's a good idea. I'm going to mark it down. So what I'll do is I'll record all of your responses. That way we know exactly where we're going and what we know. So I'll put it in two sections. What we know. And here's another section that will be called what we want to know. So what we know is that wind can bring an odor from one place to our nose. That's a good answer. Does anybody else have an idea of how an odor can get from one place and move from one place to our noses so we can smell the odor?
Well, there's got to be more than just the wind because there's days that there's no wind and you still smell some smells.
Good observation. So what would one of the other ways be other than wind bringing the odor to our nose?
Someone walks by.
So somebody walking by would create like a gush of wind. Yeah, wind. So we have two people that believe that wind is the good factor in bringing an odor from one place to our noses. How about the third? Do you have an idea of how an odor can get from one place to another?
Well, you know when you look at the dust in the sunlight, how it floats in the air and just travels around?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's how smells travel around too.
So you could say dust in the air?
Yeah, like dust in the air.
Dust in air. Okay, so these are things that we say that we know. And what do we want to know more of? How that travels from how it moves from one place to our noses? Could it be that maybe the process is more elaborate? Maybe there's more detail in that dust in the air, and maybe there's more detail in the wind.
Does it get stuck in your nose?
That's a good question, but the question today is can we smell odor from a distance? But that question could be saved for another class. Thank you for asking. Well, that's okay. For now, what we can do is talk about the different smells. Today we have 2 different samples that I brought in so that everybody can have more of a fresher idea with their experience will be updated to today. So the first substance that I brought is actually right here in this container. Can anybody smell it?
Nope.
No? Student number 2?
No.
No, nobody can smell it. Student number 1?
No.
No? No smelling? Okay, so nobody can smell this. That's interesting. Let me see if you can smell it once I remove the lid from the container. Can anybody smell what I have in this container?
No.
Not yet, no.
No.
Not yet. Okay, so I'll leave it here,
Yeah.
right where
I
in
smell it.
Oh, you smell it?
Doesn't smell good.
Okay, so you don't think it smells good? So I'll close it. I'll close it because I have to agree with you. I don't think that it's a good smell, an odor either.
I smell it now.
Okay, so why do you think that when I showed you my sample of that has odor inside of it, why do you think that you couldn't smell it while the lid was on the container?
Because it's trapped inside and it can't get out.
It can't get out. When I lifted that's a good answer, thank you. So when I lifted the cover, why do you think that you're able to smell the odor then?
Well, because it escapes.
It escapes. So those are good answers. Student number 3 said that it escapes. So we know that the odor escapes. And student number 1 earlier said that when the cover was on, that the odor could not get out. So now that you know that you had smelled the odor because I took the cover off, does that mean that the odor could get out?
Yeah.
Yeah? So we know that the odor can get out of the container. How do you think that happens when the odor comes out? What do you think happens? What's that process when it comes out?
It goes into the air, so we smell it.
Okay, so it goes into the air. Can you see it? You said you could smell it, but can you see it?
No.
Nope.
You can't see it? So, can't see. And it has a smell. Okay, that's very good. I have one more sample that I brought. Can you smell it?
No.
Can you? Can you?
Nope.
Nobody can smell this? Okay. So I'll open it then. There. The cover is off. Tell me if anyone can smell this in the air.
No.
Let me know if you can smell it. I'll, in the meantime, talk about it. So, when we're smelling, when we use our noses, we're taking in air to breathe. When we're taking in the air, and then we say, oh, I smell an odor, how do you think that we're smelling that odor from a distance? Is it because it has an ability to travel?
Yeah.
So you believe that...
I smell it.
You smell it? Okay. Do you think it's a good smell or a bad smell?
It's a better smell.
I agree. I think it's a very good smell. And I'll leave it uncovered because I like the smell. And I'm glad that student number 3 agrees with me. What I'll do is I'll ask a question. So far we identified there was a bad smell in sample number 1. And then we identified that there's a good smell in sample number 2. Can you describe to me if you think there's a difference in how a good or bad smell gets to your nose?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing? I agree with you. I think it's the same thing. So now what we have is we know that when I moved around the room with the sample, we know that we smelled the odor. And when the lid was on, we couldn't smell the odor. So we talked about how does that odor get to our noses. So we said that we can't see it, we smell it, it goes into the air, the odor escapes from the container, and it can travel. We agreed that it travels. And by dust in the air, and it could be by wind. So it's very good. So what do we want to know more about? Yes, you have a question? Do you have a question? No? Okay, so what do we want to know more about? Is the time up for the first question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now I'll go into my second part. If you can just press pause and we will continue